On a freezing cold day in February, I received a call from our head office in Norfolk saying that a member of the public was extremely concerned about two mares and two foals living out in a field in Nottinghamshire. When I arrived, I quickly assessed the situation and found that the two mares were in very poor condition. The two foals, funny enough, because they were feeding off the mares, were actually surviving reasonably well. The bay mare Macy, at that stage, to my opinion, had given up the will to live. She'd gone down onto the floor, she was shivering violently, and we got some rugs onto her just to try and keep her warm, so they were laid on top of her on the ground, and she just sort of lay there with a look in her eye that this was the end. The vet then arrived and listened to Macy's heart and had decided that her heartbeat was so weak that she'd probably have to be put to sleep. At that stage, Macy scrambled to her feet and stood there shaking in the cold, but clearly had a little bit of a spark and a will to live. The police then arrived. The police took the horses into possession and we took them to a holding yard. We look underneath the neck, you'll see she's carrying absolutely no body fat cover at all, and it's sunken in just above the shoulder. And if you go along her body, you can see how high the spinous processes are, and just along here the weather has taken a real toll on her, and she's got rain scald across this area, and you'll find that it goes all the way back, and it goes right the way back to her tailbone. Her hips are protruding on both sides, and you can see her ribs in amongst the thick coat, but if you feel them, they are very, very prominent. When they're at the holding yard, they regained a little bit of fitness, and then they were then removed to Hall Farm in Norfolk. As in many of these cases, once the people that abuse horses find out legal things are going to happen to them, they very quickly disappear into the background. So very unfortunately, we couldn't take them to task for the pain and the ill health of these horses. However, at least we did remove the horses, and they are now assured of a very fit and healthy life in the future. One of the things that we are so proud of is that we can turn a horse round from being a physical and emotional wreck into a horse within a matter of months. Macy and all the other three horses here have been with us for 6 months, and they've totally turned their lives around, and the field officers are just so proud and privileged to be able to play a small part in this. Okay, if you look at across to your right here, you've got Macy in the background. When I first came across Macy in February this year, she was almost at death's door. She was lying flat out on the floor, absolutely frozen solid, -2 degrees, and the decision to take her into possession was made. And if you now look at her now, it is just a privilege to be part of the setup that turns them from being a physical and mental wreck into a horse like this. Absolutely fantastic.